Stop whatever you're doing, because what you're about to hear isn't just another celebrity getting jailed. It's a major public scandal that has the internet going crazy. Jim Jones, the renowned Harlem rapper, has been arrested once more, and the stakes are higher than ever for both chart-topping hits and courtroom drama. How does a man who has avoided numerous encounters with the authorities manage to get himself in a mess that's even worse? What specifically occurred in Georgia that triggered a police hysteria during a normal automobile ride? Who else, friends, co-workers, or someone else was involved behind the scenes? Nobody anticipated it. Social media is already ablaze with speculative activity as reports and rumors start to surface. Is this the arrest that ultimately puts an end to his profession? Or is this just another chapter in the convoluted story of Jim Jones's wealth, fame, and legal troubles? Hold on tight, because we're going to dissect every astounding detail, each unexpected turn, and all the questions you didn't even realize you needed to be answered. Then have faith in me. This is a story you won't want to read. Miss Jim Jones is a familiar figure. Two headlines, but the shocking nature of this most recent arrest causes both supporters and detractors to put down their phones and gaze at the screen incredulously. The rapper, who was born in Harlem, has dedicated decades to establishing a career in music, street cred, and a reasonable amount of heat, is currently at the center of a tempest that could overshadow all of his previous actions. It all began in Georgia early on Thursday after police allegedly stopped a car. Jones was the passenger in the back seat. A seemingly routine traffic check swiftly turned into a heated pursuit, leaving law enforcement in disarray and social media ablaze with conjecture. Authorities reportedly found a number of incriminating items, including what appears to be a guide on how not to travel lawfully. By the time the automobile came to a stop, checklist: THC oil, oxycodone, percoate, vape cartridges, 2 loaded guns, 1 reportedly stolen marijuana, and a sizable sum of money. This was more than a small mistake. This was an internet-specific disaster that made for a captivating headline. Those who have followed Jones' story know that this arrest is more than a singular episode, the most recent in a string of legal troubles that have followed him from Hollywood to Harlem. Arrests in the past have occurred after high-speed pursuits, in Georgia, and tumultuous fights in casinos, and each time, Jones finds a way to get past the system through probation, fines, or legal loopholes that most of us could only imagine taking advantage of. However, his reputation as a man who dances perilously close to the edge, a combination of celebrity, criminal, and enigma, has been shaped by each of these run-ins. Admirers, and for years, both detractors and supporters, have questioned whether his charm and legal knowledge would be sufficient to keep him ahead of the law. However, now that these additional charges are mounting, the query isn't only will he escape punishment. To what extent may this ruin the enterprise he had spent decades creating? Whispers from anonymous sources are adding gasoline to the fire, claiming that this arrest wasn't as random as it seemed. They were allegedly connected to Jones' inner group. According to several insiders, police had been monitoring his whereabouts for weeks, perhaps months, awaiting the ideal opportunity to take action. Others alluded to conflict inside his own group, suggesting that a close friend or relative might have alerted the authorities or allowed things to get out of hand. To make sure he was apprehended in a precarious situation, the story of Jones, a man whose life seems to be both planned and chaotic at the same time, is ideally suited to the notion that this arrest may be both to constantly strike a balance between calculated actions and uncontrollable chaos. The public's responses have been rapid and furious, with commentators on social media speculating on anything from the future of his financial endeavors to missed recording sessions, canceled tours, and possible jail time. Some supporters have come together to support him, saying that he is being unjustly targeted, while others have a Freudian mixture of astonishment and shock, as though they are anticipating the eventual collapse. And just when you believe there is no more juicy part to the narrative, according to some stories, Jones might not have been by himself. Although specifics are still unclear, law enforcement sources suggest that more passengers in the vehicle may be charged, allowing for any deals, flips, or internal conflicts that might destroy his network of acquaintances, friends, and partners. This arrest's knock-on implications aren't restricted to the legal field. They threaten collaborations, sponsorships, and even his live performance rights, extending into the realms of business, music, and public perception. The stakes are bigger than ever for a man who has meticulously cultivated his brand over decades. As the world was starting to come to terms with this most recent revelation, new information began to surface, indicating the scope of the problem and why, compared to earlier times, arrest feels heavier, more significant, and different. And as more information come to light, this is where the story takes a turn that nobody anticipated. The picture of what transpired with Jim Jones is getting more combustible and messy. Anonymous individuals familiar with the case claim that the PR items discovered in the car weren't the only reason for this arrest. It belonged to a network of purported ties, dangerous actions, and dubious associates that have Jones on the verge of major legal issues. Witnesses, or at least those claiming to be insiders, have described intimate interactions, extravagant spending sprees, and late-night meetings that some characterize as criminally negligent at worst and careless at best, although the complete records have not yet been made public. Online leaks include extravagant expenditures, money transfers, and actions that might cause prosecutors to become more combative than they have in the past. Reactions on social media have been absolutely wild. Fans flocked to platforms in shock, while critics quickly analyzed every detail. He never finds out about another arrest. One response said, compiling the surprise and annoyance of longtime spectators conjectured about internal treachery. Could a member of his crew have provided law enforcement with information, or worse, left evidence in the area? Theories, memes, and snippets of previous interviews are all over forums and fan pages. Everyone is watching his every action like a live crime thriller. Even informal whether the allegations are too serious to avoid this time or if Jones will somehow wriggle out again, as history indicates, is a question that onlookers are considering. In the meanwhile, the purported investigation, the results depict an even more bleak picture. According to sources, investigators are looking into financial records, comparing transactions, and speaking with several witnesses in order to piece together how Jones might have been engaged in more extensive criminal behavior. The story that has emerged from these leaks raises concerns about whether Jones' entourage and business operations may have been characterized by patterns of behavior that go beyond simple possession, complicit, whether intentionally or inadvertently, in increasing his legal risk. Stories of stress, whispered betrayals, and possible disagreements among his staff are hinted at by anonymous sources, which have further increased the drama in the public display. It is almost impossible for anyone to turn away from the atmosphere of expectancy created by the analysis of every new detail and the exaggeration of every rumor. However, the craze is being fueled by more than simply internet gossip. Peers in the sector and public leaders are offering their opinions, some with caution, others with harsh critique. According to music experts, record companies and partners are keeping a careful eye on Jones and determining whether keeping up their relationship with him poses a risk to their personal reputations. According to reports, some have put a stop to projects or partnerships until the situation is more clear, and others are thinking about how to profit from the controversy in advertisements, music videos, and forthcoming products. With every new revelation igniting a new discussion about responsibility and celebrity, the repercussions is rapidly spreading, conduct, and the boundaries of celebrity when facing legal risk. Furthermore, it is impossible to overlook the human factor as we delve further. Fans, relatives, and friends are trapped in the middle, attempting to distinguish fact from conjecture. The story of Jim Jones as an ingenious survivalist, a dynamic street tactician, as a cultural symbol is directly at odds with the story of a guy whose choices are endangering himself and perhaps everyone else in his vicinity. Every report that has been leaked, every anonymous tip, every viral video heightens the suspense. Kay is creating a scenario that feels like a cautionary tale, courtroom drama, and scandal all at once. The query that everyone is thinking about, not only what happened, but also how far this will go and who else might be pulled into the maelstrom, are important questions at this point. And just when it appears that the public has comprehended the scope of the disclosures and responses, no, the repercussions are beginning to materialize in ways that have the potential to upend not just Jones' career, but also the entire web of professional and interpersonal ties he has cultivated over the years. The music industry is already feeling the effects of Jim Jones' most recent arrest. It's turning out to be more dramatic than anyone could have predicted in both business and social circles. Legal teams, according to sources, are rushing not only for Jones but also for others who might have been involved in the case, whether intentionally or inadvertently. Whispers from industry insiders on possible plea agreements, turned witnesses, and tactics used in court that might save him or permanently ruin him. This time, law enforcement seems intent on setting an example, in contrast to other instances in which Jones avoided probation or minor fines. The charges now carry the weight of major felony convictions, and the repercussions might completely change the course of his career. Every publicist, lawyer, and brand partner is keeping a tight eye on things, assessing risk, and making real-time adjustments to plans. The financial ramifications are already perceptible. According to reports, planned collaborations, studio sessions, and concerts may be put on hold indefinitely while sponsorships and alliances are being reconsidered. The arrest is being referred to in some quarters as a career earthquake. one that has the potential to upend established agreements and postpone music releases, impacting sources of income that for years, Jones has depended on. Beyond the effects on business, the battle for public opinion is intensifying. There are disagreements among fans. While some are expressing dissatisfaction and saying that his recurring legal issues reflect poorly on his influence and judgment, others are supporting him and saying he is being unfairly singled out. Every comment section, popular video, and social media post has turned into a battlefield where the story is continuously being constructed. In the meantime, suspense has been increased by conjecture regarding government investigations and wider repercussions. According to some insiders, federal officials are surreptitiously reviewing financial documents, considering prior legal issues to see whether a broader pattern of illegal action exists. Online rumors suggest possible investigations into previous transactions, raising doubts about whether this arrest is only the first step in a longer inquiry. Rumors of resignations, delays, and internal turmoil are circulating concurrently with the court hearings, indicating that the effects of this arrest has an impact on more than just the individual. It can also have an impact on entire groups, partners, and even opposing factions. Rumors of betrayal inside Jones' own circle add to the drama. According to reports, an insider is switching in exchange for leniency could significantly impact how the case develops, and one thing turns into crystal when the dust settles. Clearly, Jim Jones' legal issues have grown beyond his personal life. Alright, errors. They are a public spectacle that has practical repercussions, and everyone is observing your every action, every choice now has consequences, whether it is in the courtroom, on social media, or in terms of financial adjustments. There is conjecture among critics, peers, and fans. Will he be able to come out as unharmed as he has in the past? Or is this the moment of change that finally stops the trend of arrests that make headlines? There is a noticeable sense of anxiety, and the likelihood of shocks, leaks, and startling disclosures increases every day. Exponentially. It's unclear what will happen to Jim Jones next. However, there is no doubt that the story is far from finished. The charges, this arrest, a perfect storm of drama, conjecture, and high stakes has been generated by the consequences and the public's response, and it will continue to dominate headlines. And the question is still on everyone's mind, in typical viral way. How is this story going to end? And who else might receive trapped between the lines as the lawful, monetary, and individual repercussions unfold? The responses are on the way, and the assurance that they will be equally as explosive as arrest on its own. What are your thoughts? Was it Jim Jones who defeated these charges? The end we've all been anticipating. Leave a comment with your views and allow the argument to blow out. Remember to hit the like, subscribe, and notification buzzer for each startling, provide an update as the story develops.